Good evening, YouTube. I'm going to be trying something new just to kind of test out my understanding of my recording system. I use OBS and I just BS my way through it. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to be trying stuff out. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be reviewing programs. So I kind of want to check out how this looks so I can in the future I can add visuals to my videos, but at the same time do program reviews, and you can see what I see, what I'm looking at, and I can explain to you my thought process on what makes a program a good program and things of that nature. So the way my desk is set up is I have my monitor in front of me, obviously, and then a webcam up on top. And then right above it is my TV mounted on a wall. So I'll be looking pretty stupid, and you can see up my nose and see my hopefully average brain. And as I try to explain to you my thought process on different programs, different things that I review with you, and things of that nature. So like I said, today I'm just going to be doing this mostly for fun, just for test purposes. But yeah, I will be reviewing the power hypertrophy upper lower spreadsheet that is available on LiftVault. So LiftVault, there's a lot of free programs on there, and a lot of the programs are fairly good. And generally speaking, because most programs, like every single program, no matter what, there's going to be some level of linearity to it. Even a conjugate system, like no matter what, like whether it claims to use block periodization or any type of periodization method, there's going to be linearity associated with it. As time goes on, volume will go down as intensity goes up, or volume will go up as intensity either stays the same or improve or goes up slightly. So there's always going to be some level of linearity to any program, and generally speaking, as long as you're consistent, if you're consistent with something and you're pushing hard, you will see results. And that's the biggest thing. You can have a program that is maximized and optimal, but if you don't actually show up to do it, what's the point of the program? The issue then is not so much the programming itself, but the person performing, the person not being able to be as consistent with the gym as possible. So that's a lot more important, consistency. Now, like I said, if consistency is not the issue, then if you are a consistent lifter, if you can go 48 to 52 weeks of continuous training, and you're training at the same amount of days per week, the same amount of times per week, then you will see results. And if that's already maximized, then we can start talking into programming, because if consistency isn't there, what is the point of the program? A program that is poorly written but executed fully will yield more results than a perfect program not performed. So let's start with day one, strength upper, and so what they have is for week one, 3 to 4 sets, 3 to 5 reps, and for week one in particular, so there are so this is a view only, but from what I can tell, let's see. So from what I can tell, there's probably a portion here in the spreadsheet somewhere where you put in your 1 rep maxes, where it will automatically calculate what numbers you should be using. Since I don't want to kind of save this to my computer, I won't be doing that, but the progression it has you do is 4 sets of 3, then 4 sets of 4, then you stick with 4 sets of 4, you drop it down, then you do 4 sets of 4, then you do 4 sets of 4 with the weight you used in week 1, you stick with that weight, you drop it down again, 4 sets of 3 with a slightly increase in weight, and then you progress onward from there. So this kind of progression seems kind of strange to me, simply because, for one, it says that you will be using 3 to 4 sets, 3 to 5 reps, but really I only see 3s and 4s here. So I think 3 to 5 rep range is a great rep range to build the bench press. So for me personally, I find that my bench press improves best in the 2 to 5 rep range. So when I do hard singles, it does improve my ability to bench, but really what ends up happening is that I just end up maximizing the strength that I'm already capable of. So for example, I'm not really building anything, but I'm just improving my ability to show my strength. I'm improving my ability to demonstrate the strength that I've accumulated over time, because I'm becoming more neuromuscularly efficient in that movement. But I'm not actually building. I'm just, even though I'm progressing because the weight goes up each week, it's really just a matter of I've been building up my chest and my bench press for such a matter of time that now that I'm focusing on being more specific and doing more heavy singles, that I'm just expressing the strength that I built and in a more specific way, but actually building strength. So meaning that I take my 1 rep max and actually increase it. That's a totally different thing in my opinion, and generally speaking, I receive better gains doing the 2 to 5 rep range. So 3 to 5 is a very good rep range, but the progression here I'm not the biggest fan of. So what I would do instead is you start off on the lower end of the volume. So you could do 3 sets of 3, 3 sets of 4, and then 3 sets of 5, 4 sets of 3, 4 sets of 4, 4 sets of 5. Like, to me that just makes a bit more sense, because you're just adding one more rep, and then once you hit the top portion of the amount of reps you perform per set, you increase the number of sets. That seems to be a more intuitive way to program, in my opinion. Whether that's the most optimal is up for debate depending on what systems you use, but generally speaking, I think it's a lot better than going up then in reps, but then you drop down the weight, then you go back to the weight that you used the first week, but then you add one more rep per set. Well, would this work? Yeah. Do I think it's optimal and maximizes anything? Not really. For one, for me personally, I don't really like the idea of adding weight every session. So I think weight is a variable that should increase more slowly. It shouldn't be the goal of each training week. From week to week, your goal should not be to just add weight to the bar. It should be improving the quality of the reps, improving the quality of the sets, and improving your performance at that certain threshold. So that's why for me personally, what I would do is, let's say I do 3 sets of 3, or a 3 by 5 on week 1, then 3 sets of, or actually no. Scratch that. What I'm going to do instead is 3 sets of 3, then maybe a set of 4, then 3, 3, then 5, 4, 3, and then 4, 3, 3, then like more evolving rep ranges, rather than just doing the same number of sets and reps and just mildly improving that over time. But anyway, I've spent enough time on this exercise. The next thing I want to talk about is the accessory movements. So I like the accessory movements, like the exercise selection that was put into this program. So let's see, 3 sets of 6 at 60 pounds, 4 sets of 8 at 55, 4 sets of 8 at 55 again, 4 sets of 6, 4 sets of 8, 4 sets of 8, 3 sets of 6. So I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to accomplish here, but let's look at this from like a mathematical perspective, right? 3 sets of 6, 18 reps. If you go from that and then you go into 4 sets of 8, which is 32 reps, 18 to 32, you're doubling your volume in the span of 1 week. I think that there's better ways to manage this, especially because the rep range is so much wider, 6 to 10. So that means you could do something where 3 sets of 6, 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 6, 4 sets of 8, 4 sets of 10. That seems to be a bit better to me because it's more of a wave loading kind of setup where the jumps in volume aren't so drastic and you tend to stagnate around this point. There's really like very little progression as far as what you're actually doing because you're just getting better at it. But I like that, but if that was going to be the goal, then there's still better ways to go about improving your ability to move a certain weight for a certain number of reps. And that's where I would use just one weight, maybe taking a weight jump after the 3rd week, but for the first 3 weeks, you're sticking at a weight, improving the number of reps you do per set, doing like an evolving rep range. And then you add a set on the last 3 weeks, trying to get better at that. Add a set, try to see if you can maintain the same number of reps per set with that added set, and then add weight on weeks 5 and 6. Try to hit within that rep range of 6 to 10, and then deload where you drop the volume back down and go from there. So from going to a barbell bench press to a incline dumbbell bench press, I do like the exercise selection. However, one thing that I would do personally is you'll notice that there's a bent over row and a lat pull down included into the program. So I don't necessarily think that it's feasible to do a 2-to-1 ratio of pushing and pulling, but that should kind of be the mindset you want to have. So an easy way to kind of accomplish that, and it doesn't have to be 1-to-1 in terms of sets, reps, and weight, because that was just unfeasible. You're going to burn yourself out. Really, if you were to try to attempt that, you would just be able to do one pulling exercise and one pushing exercise because you just burn out so fast. But anyway, what I would do in this situation is on the barbell bench press, because that's going to represent your strength work, you superset that with a pulling variation that is very easy on the joint. So like a face pull. You do a face pull after you do your barbell bench press. Is our face pulls going to impede your ability to bench on the next set? No. I personally superset, or I do a superset of chin-ups and then my barbell bench press, and that has worked fine for me. I've been able to hit PRs doing that because that's something I've been accustomed to for training for so long. But that's just me. But if you want to kind of start incorporating supersets and try to make sure that to keep your shoulders healthier and make sure that you're balancing out the back as much as you're pressing muscles, just do face pulls right before your bench or right after, and then go into that. And then for the incline dumbbell bench press, if your gym isn't very crowded and if it's nearby, why not do the lat pull down and the dumbbell bench press done together? Because you're going to find that your performance on both is not going to be hindered at all. You will be able to do lat pull downs and incline dumbbell bench presses, and you're not going to notice a dramatic decrease in strength. So for example, for one, let's look at the total number of sets per session. So let's just look at week 1, but let's say you're doing 4 sets, then 3 sets, then 3 sets, then 4 sets, then 3 sets, then 3 sets, and 3 sets. You can easily superset the barbell curls and skull crushers. Like, that's no issue whatsoever. Let's say you, and then to hit the rear delt, because I don't really see any rear delts in this upper body day, you do rear delts on the barbell bench press. With the incline dumbbell bench press, you do the lat pull down, and then you can just equate the sets and reps there. That will cut down a significant amount of time on the session. And also, as a natural lifter, you have only so much recovery. You can't just do an indefinite amount of work, and you need to really try to stimulate the muscle as hard as you can, as efficiently as possible, and then rest and recover, so that way you can repeat that multiple times during the week. I think that's kind of the best way to train as a natural lifter, is using volume intelligently, but not using it so much. So the main issue here is that if it were up to me, while this is a upper body strength day, I would take out one of the pressing movements. So if your goal is strength, generally speaking, you will want to do less exercises, more sets, and less reps. You want to be training in a higher rep intensity window. And because of that, you have to understand that adding exercise variations is a way to drive up volume. So think about how much upper body volume that goes to your shoulders, your chest, and your triceps is being added when you include the overhead press. So me personally, in my strength upper body days, I do have a barbell bench press and a overhead press as the 2 main movements. A way that I could see this working better is that if this only had 2 sets. The reason being is if you're doing 3 sets of really heavy work, so let's say 3 sets of 1, 3 sets of 2, 3 sets of 3, 3 sets of 5, and then you do 2 sets in the 4 to 8 rep range with a variation, you'll find that that's still very recoverable, because people tend to like to use 5 sets for a lot of their strength work. So they'll do like 5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 6, and those are very popular rep ranges. So you can definitely manage doing 5 sets of benching, but 3 of them are significantly heavier, and 2 of them are more so changing the angle to target the chest more. So that way you're getting a different training stimulus, but you're not overdoing it on the volume and you're still getting good training stimulus. So if you were to do 3 pushing exercises on a strength day, where I would kind of prefer that you just do 2 if you're a novice, but as you're becoming intermediate, doing 3 will become more feasible. I would much rather do it that way. But anyway, yeah, superset the barbell curls and skull crushers, save time on that. There's no need to do a barbell curl and then rest for 2 minutes or a minute even. A lot of the isolation type exercise that you'll do as a power builder, you can just superset. So overall, there's good exercise selection. I like these set and rep ranges. However, how they are put into the actual weeks, I think could be improved upon. Next, let's go over the lower strength day. So first things first, exercise selection. Squat, deadlift, leg press, leg curl, calf raise. When it comes to strength, I would much rather see this as a like I said before, especially with the lower body, because generally speaking, squats and deadlifts are really taxing. You can push the intensity on these a lot better. I don't think it's necessary on a lower strength day, not a lower hypertrophy day, to be doing this many exercises. You can definitely get away with this, but generally speaking, I think it would just be, you'd have a better workout if you just increase the sets slightly. So maybe 5 sets of 4, let's say 4 to 6 sets of 3 to 6 reps on squats, and then on the deadlift, I would say 2 to 4, because the lower the sets, the more you have to push the intensity. And for me personally, I think the deadlift responds much better to intensity than really anything else. 3 to 5 reps on the deadlift, not bad. One thing to consider though is that I don't like how they're the same rep ranges for both the squat and the deadlift. On a lower body strength day, you kind of have to decide which is the main movement, the squat or the deadlift. So for me, it's the deadlift, because I care about my deadlift more. I can lift more weight on the deadlift, and the deadlift is more taxing. So just because I can objectively lift more weight, that's going to be the main movement of the day, and that's going to be where it has like the highest amount of intensity. So for, let's say, the deadlift, I'll do 1 to 3 sets of 1 to 3 reps. And then for the squat, I'll do 2 to 4 sets of 4 to 8 reps. So like I said, rep ranges are indicative of intensity. If I'm going to be doing 4 to 8 reps, it's going to be in the range that is heavy enough to stimulate strength gains, but I'm going to take it far enough from failure where I'm not going to be just risking injury because my lower back is already taxed from doing the squats. I find that 4 to 8 is where I'm able to not be limited by my lower back, where I'm able to still lift a respectable amount of weight and still accumulate a good amount of volume. Because let's say I do the lower rep range of that example, 4 sets of 4, that's 16 reps. That's very similar to a 3x5. But then let's say I take it further away from volume but get more reps. I do 4 sets of 8. That's 32 reps. Very good for bodybuilding, because that's very similar to like a 3 sets of 10. So volume is equated in that way, and that's going to be a lot better. So like I said, for a lower body strength day, I'm more into doing less exercises but more sets and less reps. The leg press, things of that nature, I think they fit better on a hypertrophy day. If you were to do like different leg exercises on the lower body day, like I said, I would much rather see things like Romanian deadlifts, because let's say for this example, because the main lift is the squat, you could do Romanian deadlifts, chop bar deadlifts, deficit pulls, block pulls, things of that nature, and maybe these exercises. But I personally, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't really put them and I would just use these ones, because for most people, you'll get most of the size that you'll ever want and need just from these 2 exercises. And if you find that you're still lacking, then sure, why not? Leg curls I do like though. So, but like I said, generally speaking, I wouldn't train a leg curl in the 6 to 10 rep range. So I wouldn't really want to do it on the strength day. I would much rather put that on a volume day. Do 3 to 5 sets of 10 to 15, because that just makes more sense to me as to what this exercise can accomplish. Last one, upper body, or next exercise day. It's weird. It went from day 2 to day 4. So I guess it's because, interesting. Anyway, I actually got a text. 1 second. Yeah, at 9. Alright, so next day, day 4, because I think it's actually, let's see. You take a rest day, and then day 4, I see now. Incline barbell bench press, flat dumbbell fly, seated cable row, 1 arm dumbbell row, dumbbell lateral raise, seated incline dumbbell curl, cable tricep extension. I would say all of this for sure, and if your fitness allows, all of this can be supersetted. All of this right here can be a superset. So it's not written in there, and from what I can see, it seems like you take this exercise out during these couple weeks. Not entirely sure why, but all this can be supersetted. Next, you can definitely superset the seated cable row with either the incline barbell bench press, if it's available to you in your gym, depending on your gym setup. Mine, it's definitely feasible to do that, but let's see. There's only 1 press. So the thing is, for a natural lifter, and especially as a power builder, like this is supposed to be a power building program, it's very suboptimal to just have a day where it's compound movements and then a day where it's just all isolation. That's not power building. That's like checking the boxes to call it power building, because it's mixing different rep ranges, it's mixing isolation exercises and compound movements, but the organization of it is subpar. And even though the exercise selection is correct, and even though the set rep ranges are for the most part correct, I still wouldn't call this power building, simply because, for example, on a upper body hypertrophy day, I would much rather see things like, obviously, a overhead press and a bench press variation. I would like to see some type of body weight movement, so parallel bar dips or push-ups. I think that those fit very well on a upper body hypertrophy day, simply because, like I said, if you're just getting into power building, your first strength training session should be focused on compound movements with some isolation, but generally speaking, I like to do a ratio of, let's say, 2 to 3. So on a strength training, on a strength upper body day or strength lower body day, 2 compound movements, but on a size day, you up that to 3, because adding an exercise adds a lot of volume, similar to adding sets, because you have to do sets of a certain exercise when you do a different variation, so you're getting more volume towards certain muscle groups. So that's why it's kind of important to have that distinction. So that's why on my current programs, what I like to do is, on a upper body day, I will do 3 pressing variations, but on my strength days I will only do 2, because the intensity is so much higher on that strength day that 2 is all I can manage and recover from. That's not going to impact my ability to perform on the next training day, so that's why I do it that way. But in this one, you do incline barbell bench press, and then everything else is just isolation exercise. And after that point, like, except with the exception of the seated cable row, it's not the best, I would say. Front squatting. So front squatting, great exercise. It's a squat, like there's no complaints there. Barbell lunge, if your knees allow it and if your forms allow it, that's great. Barbell lunges, lunges in general, split squats, very good. Leg extension and leg curls. So me personally, I don't think that the leg extension really has any... Well, there's no such thing as a worthless exercise, but generally speaking, there's just so many better exercises that a leg extension just kind of gets put at the tail end. And generally speaking, if you can do a leg extension, you probably have energy to do a leg press, because the leg press, still an isolation exercise, It's not very taxing on the whole body unless you're a jackass and just put a shit ton of weight on that you're not even going full range of motion with. But generally speaking, if you can do a leg extension, you can do a leg press. So I would just take the leg press off of this day, do a different barbell variation movement, preferably like I said, Romanian deadlifts, back extensions, maybe a good morning. If you really want to do a little more quad volume on the lower strength day, you could do a squat variation, like a front squat even, or like a hack squat or things of that nature. But generally speaking, I would just replace the leg extension with a leg press. Leg curl, I think with this program there should be a lot more supersets. For example, after the leg press, rather than doing a leg curl, that's when you can do a Romanian deadlift, because I don't see any hip hinges on this day. So I would much rather, if you just do squats and deadlifts and then maybe some type of other exercise on the lower strength day, on this day you should put the leg press in place of the leg extension, do Romanian deadlifts, and then you can do hamstring curls and calves, or low back, or find a way to superset those movements in, because I do think the leg curl is a very valid exercise. You need to have a complete training of the hamstring, and you do that by doing using the hips, so hip extension and movements such as that, but also knee flexion as well. So that's a leg curl is going to really build up the hamstrings, because you're attacking the hamstrings from the top and bottom, so that's really important. But like I said, overall this program definitely needs more supersets. No matter what your goal is, you should be using fundamental movement patterns in each training day. So in a lower body hypertrophy day, even though the goal is hypertrophy, you still want to have a knee flexion, so that's check. But this also, I would say, counts as more of a knee flexion than a hinge. So even on a separate day, you still need to do hinges, you still need to do knee flexions. So this one is just 2 knee flexions. On this one, you're pressing in one, you're kind of pressing, like, because it's an incline barbell bench press, it's kind of like in between a horizontal and vertical press, but generally speaking, you should still have a vertical press and a horizontal press on the second day you're pushing. Rather than just like putting all the compounds on one day, calling it a strength day, and then just doing nothing but isolation on the next one. So would this work? Yeah, the thing, like I mentioned earlier, if you are consistent, the program will work. Is this the best? I wouldn't say so. But one thing I will say is that if you are a total novice and you just want to get introduced to a upper lower training program, like let's say you have been running programs such as starting strength, strong lifts, or you've been training 3 times a day full body, this could be a good bridge. So that's where I would kind of put its value and application. However, I do think that there are better options available and better ways to program a power hypertrophy upper lower system. So pretty good, but I will be making more videos like this in the future. Like I said, this was just kind of a for fun video, just to kind of test out how this looks when I record it. And the next one I will review is the Kaizen. Oh wait, this is not Kaizen. This is not Kaizen. This is Kaizen. So the next one I will review is the Kaizen 16-week power building program. I actually bought this program when it came out a couple years ago. I bought 2 of their programs when I was 17, I believe at the time. No, 18. I was 18 at the time. Bought 2 of their programs because I was a big fan of Bar Kwan, so I'll be reviewing this next. Even though was not sure. Even though I was a fan of Bar Kwan, that's not really going to get in the way of how I review this program, simply because I actually don't like this program all that much. But that's it for this video. Hope you found it informative, entertaining, slightly. During these videos where I just kind of like have a bit more fun with them, they'll be longer format. I'll be a lot weirder because I care. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, hope you liked the video. That's it for tonight. I'm Kurelsa King, StanceReg.com. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If there's anything you want me to review, anything you want me to look at on this channel, please let me know, and I'll try to make, and I'll be making content that I like for sure. But if there's something that interests me that you recommend, I'll definitely look into it. So yeah, have a good one.